Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for listening in. Today, we're going to talk about the concept of wealth. But before we do, as a reminder, this is an educational show and should not be construed as personal financial advice. Full disclosure information is available at ototnow.com. Now, let's get started. So, when I sit and talk to folks about money and riches and the term wealth, it's important to kind of understand what is wealth. So, when uh, I try to describe that. I give a simple answer, or if I don't have much time to go into detail, I simply say your wealth allows you to live your life the way you want to live it without stressing out over money. So that's a very simple definition, doesn't go into a lot of detail, but that's usually good enough for everybody. And then they say, yeah, I think so. That makes sense to me. However, I like to sit down and talk to folks in depth about the concept of wealth. And it goes a lot deeper than actually just money and lack of stress in your life. So let's start with our talk with that today. So I think wealth is a combination of three things. It's self-worth first, your network, and then lastly, your net worth. So let's break those down individually. So for self-worth, and why would I include that in wealth? Well, it's love of yourself above everything else. And if you don't learn to love yourself, then no amount of money is ever going to satisfy you because you're not right with you. Now, I am former military, and unfortunately, in the military, we saw lots of suicides over the years. It still continues to be a challenge where people think that they're better off by taking their own life versus other options. But a lot of that comes down to your self-worth. And as you go into the world and you try to make your money and take care of your family, is you have to have figured out yourself first. So that's kind of like if you picture a bullseye, that would be the bullseye in the middle. And once you have yourself in a good place, then you could expand that out to your network, which is, I think, is the kind of the second ring of wealth if you picture that bullseye. And your network is your friends and family that you share your life with. And picture if you didn't have that, if you just had self-worth, but then again, you have a bunch of money, and we've seen individuals like that, you don't really have wealth. You simply have money at that point. So without the support structure of friends and family to share life with, share experiences with, share your money with, spend money on each other, buy gifts and receive gifts from this network, you really, all you have is money. You don't have wealth. So that's why I say that's kind of the second ring out there that you need to make sure you have in place. So as you go forth into the world and take care of yourself first, and you take care of your friends and family on top of that, and building money the whole time, you want to be try to get more money every day, increase your net worth every day, but making sure you lay a solid foundation for everything up front. And then the final ring of it is truly your net worth, which is the resources that enable a better life, which can be a number for some people. As far as I want $1 million or 2 million or 5 million or 500,000, whatever your number happens to be. It can be a hard number, or it can be a cash flow number when you think of net worth. If you think of retirement, where you have possibly a pension, or if not, you have your Social Security, possibly from two individuals out of a couple, combined with money that you're living off of your portfolio. That can be considered your net worth, and the fact that that's the cash flow that's enabling you to live the quality of life that you desire. So that's really my deep thought response into what is wealth. If one was going to get into a technical response, I would say, and this is now shifting from kind of the conceptual to reality, if you will, is your wealth exists solely to replace income. So think about that phrase for just a second. Is during your working years of your life, you have money coming in the door from your job or profession or your business, if you're a small business owner or whatever it is. Well, at some point in time, you're going to hit a retirement, which either you don't have any income or you're facing a reduced income situation where you need to replace that income. So for most people who go to high school and they either go to college and get a job or get a technical skill and enter the workforce, or however your situation plays out. You then earn a paycheck for a number of years. Most retire right around the time they're eligible to collect Social Security. And then once they start collecting Social Security, that replaces a portion of their income. And then there's a gap. And generally, wealth is about replacing that gap with enough income to where you're having enough money that you're used to for the past 40 years, 4 decades of being in the workforce, so you can maintain that same quality of life. And the way to do that is, of course, your systematic saving and investing while you're in the workforce. You're taking advantage of dollar cost averaging and compound interest. So you basically stay invested while you're in the workforce, and you generate a large enough portfolio that whenever it is you need to start taking money from that portfolio, you'll have enough to replace it, to replace the income. So you think, how much do I need? How much is it going to replace? Well, you can generally think of whatever is 5% of your portfolio. If that portfolio gives off a 5% return, which is very achievable, especially if it's designed to do that, then that is the amount of money you will have to live off of without touching principal. Of course, if you touch principal, then you're in a situation where you're drawing upon your wealth and it will continue to decline the older you get, and you need to have it either planned out or hope that the money lasts all the way, as long as you do, if you will. So that's kind of the technical response to the term wealth. So when you think of the concept of wealth and what where you are right now, the show is on time, on target. So relating this back to today and where you are is one level of wealth. I would say the kind of basic level of wealth is to be considered rich, but not necessarily wealthy, is the situation where you don't have to worry about money, meaning your income, basically. So if you are at the point where you don't have to worry about money because you have a nice high paying job, that can be considered kind of the first level of wealth. However, think of that money that's coming in the door. Say you are very fortunate and you make $200,000 a year. If that money, that $200,000 that comes in, and you spend all of that money for your house, your cars, your good experiences for your family, and I'm not judging your spending, but if you spend all of the money that comes in, then you're not building wealth. But you can feel like you're rich, but you're not wealth building at that point. And that's very much a cash flow based thinking, kind of a short-term mentality. And folks can, if they're not careful, can live in that short-term mentality until they get within 5 to 10 years of their actual retirement date, and they haven't built the net worth to now turn around and replace that income. So that's kind of the first level, is I don't have to worry about money. When people talk about the next level, which is what I call financial independence, which is truly the point in which you can feel wealthy, is the first part, I don't have to worry about money. So it's the same as step one, but the rest of it is, and I could stop working today for the rest of my life. So not only do you have the cash flow to enjoy your life right now, but if you either choose to stop working, or if something happens in your life to either you or somebody in your family where now you cannot continue to work, that you have enough money to last you for the rest of your life. So that is very much long-term thinking. So wherever you are in the wealth building process, you can think of, step one is that I don't have to worry about money. Step two, I don't have to worry about money, and I can stop working today for the rest of my life. So that's how I characterize wealth. And when I have conversation with folks, I put it in those terms, that if you get through that second one, then you can truly consider yourself financially independent. So that's all we have for today's episode. Please reach out through ototnow.com with any questions or comments. Thanks again for listening, and here's to you fighting the good fight every day to be on time, on target.